And welcome to Chart of the Day Cafe for Thursday, February 9th, 2017. Trading stocks is a high level of risk, and viewers should complete their own due diligence on any stock or underlying that they intend to own. 100% of the content of this video and communique is intended for journalistic and educational purposes only. This video and all indicators, strategies, and articles herein should not be construed as investment advice, not making any recommendations, always for your further homework. Hope everybody's had a great week so far. For those of you that are new subscribers, as a reminder, these videos go out every Tuesday and Thursday morning. So with that, let's get into today's video. We always start with a look at the broader market, and for that we use the IWM, which is the ETF that represents the Russell 2000, and we step back to take a look at it on a 5-year monthly time frame. We were paying particular attention to this light blue shaded line that offered resistance back here in 2015, but you can see that in the month of November 2016, we blew through that area, and we are now trading in this very interesting area here. On the smaller chart, we've identified this wedge that the Russell is trading in. The candle for the month of January was a very small, narrow range candle, and so far for February, same thing. So let's get into that smaller time frame and take a look. We'll move it over to the 1-year weekly chart. There's that same light blue shaded line that goes back all the way on the 5-year. And here's the little wedge that we've been monitoring. So you can see we're looking at the weekly now. For the past several weeks, we've been sort of trading around this wedge pattern in an effort to break out a little bit, but so far that hasn't happened. So these are candles that would suggest it's just consolidating and holding this area of support. So let's go take a look at it on an even smaller time frame with the 6-month daily. There's our daily area of support, still holding. There's our wedge. And for us at Chart of the Day Cafe, it's all about price being up and over this blue line here, which is the 8-day EMA. We like to see price on the Russell up and over that 8-day EMA and showing strength before we put any new charts forward. So as you can see, it's currently trading below the 8-day EMA. Having said that, support is holding, and the futures are looking to get off to a little bit of a solid start this morning. So we'll see how the day resolves itself. But with price below that 8-day EMA, we are not going to put any new charts forward, but I thought I'd review a couple of old charts. One in particular I'll do a deeper dive into. It's worth keeping an eye on here. So with price on the Russell trading below the 8-day EMA, we're not going to put a new chart forward, but I thought I'd offer this old chart for review again because it still looks really great to me. And that chart is INN Summit Hotel Properties. Let me just give you the stats on it currently. For those of you not familiar with it, it's a self-managed hotel REIT. They operate under the banners Marriott, Hampton Inn, Hyatt Hotels. You can tuck in and do a little more research on it, but it's a big hotel REIT. It's got a really nice value score currently, a forecasted earnings growth rate still of 17%, a PE of 14.93, and a current dividend yield of 4.07%. So everything we look for at Chart of the Day Cafe is still there. As a reminder, we're looking at the 5-year monthly chart. We were looking it in originally in this area here. I put out my Chart of the Day Cafe video, this little green circle. We're looking at it on the monthly chart. You can see that it's had a beautiful run since then. It's got no overhead resistance. It's trading in this area. Should it break through here, sky is blue. We featured in, I'm just going to pull up my screenshot of when we featured it. It was 8 months ago, May 31st, 2016. The great thing that I like about Chart of the Day Cafe is you can go back and listen to the original video when I mention another chart. You can always go back and take a look. So here we are at Chart of the Day Cafe. I'm reminding you this is a little underutilized section of our YouTube channel, discussion. So every day in the discussion section, I'm going to go back and through our Chart of the Day Cafe picks that still qualify with those scores and pick out the ones that look to be setting up for a fresh cross. So yesterday, I put a little note in here that said DRI and IN, both past picks, are setting up possibly today. So I just wanted to remind you, I think it's a really great area of the channel that is a little underutilized, and I think it's terrific. So let's get back to our chart. Here we are. Sorry about that. So we're looking at the 5-year monthly. I'm going to pull it into the smaller time frame so you can see, but I really want you to see sky is blue, no overhead resistance. So let's go to the 1-year weekly. And you can see that it's been thinking and deciding in this area. But with those value scores and that dividend, they're coming up on earnings at the end of February, so you want to be aware of that. But I think it's one to really keep an eye on. That's where we originally put our video forward, the end of May, and it had, look at that, beautiful. So whether you're using the 3 and 8, and I know everyone has their own way of doing things, I'm not making any suggestions whatsoever, but whether you're using a 3 and 8 or whatever EMAs you're using, this has had a really nice, beautiful run. So here we are in this area. That's the weekly. Let's take a look at the smaller time frame. I'm featuring it for you today again because it looks to be setting up for a fresh 3 and 8 cross. So let me pull it into that study. The simple 3 and 8. You can see the 6 month. Now let me pull it into the 1 month so you can better see. There we go. So I would identify this area as support. I wouldn't want to see it go below that area on the daily, but if it starts to lift here, this would be an interesting area for in. And you want to be aware of those earnings. But just wanted to flag that one for you. The other one is DRI, also a dividend payer. Checked the scores yesterday. Beautiful scores. So those are two that I wanted to flag for you once again. You know, I always like to put other things in front of you as to why I think this particular chart is one to keep an eye on. And I'm going to include this current article with today's video. We're doing a review on INN, but it still looks like it's in favor with analysts and hedge funds. So this article indicates that hedge funds have been buying and accumulating it lately. Very positive article. Also, we like to look at seasonality. I could not find a seasonal chart for in particular, but I did find one for Starwood Hotels. It would make sense to me that they would both be in season together, but I'll leave that up to your discretion to decide whether you want to consider seasonality or not. And finally, there's a Zacks article that talks about 5 value stocks with amazingly low ratios. So IN is included in this article, and I will include this with today's video. So let's go back and check the boxes for IN. Important for me to reiterate though, I never put a new chart forward when the IWM, the Russell Index, is trading below the 8-day EMA. So this is just a review of an old chart that might be setting up. So it's up to you and your individual plans to decide how you want to act on it. But we always like to have that box checked that the market, the Russell is what we use as our proxy, IWM, is up and over the 8 days. So I'm leaving that unchecked because it is not. But getting back to the individual attributes of IN, the sector that it's in is in an uptrend on the 5-year chart. A little sideways on the 2-year chart. We looked at VNQ for that and possibly lifting off an area of support. So we're checking that box. IN is in a long-term uptrend on the 5-year chart and possibly looking to go through resistance overhead, but it's looking as though it wants to go through. It's got an excellent value score. It's got a good growth score with a forecasted earnings growth rate of 17%, a current dividend yield of 4.07%. We're checking that box. It does not have a 3 and 8 EMA cross yet, but it's very close, so it's one to be monitored. Seasonality, we couldn't find a seasonal chart specifically for IN, but we did look at the Starwood seasonal chart. It would make sense to me that they would both have seasonal favor, but I'm going to leave it unchecked because I did not find the seasonal chart for INN. I will leave that up to your discretion. It has analyst support. We looked at that. hedge funds are buying, and it's a Zacks #2 buy rated stock, so we're checking that box. And sky is blue, no overhead resistance, never been higher. If it goes through this area, that's a really good thing to have, no overhead resistance. Current PE of 14.93, and it looks as though earnings will be announced on February 23rd. You want to be aware of that. As a reminder, I just wanted to say, if you like these videos, please hit the subscribe button and become a subscriber. Also wanted to remind you to check the discussion section. I will post Monday through Thursday any fresh 3 and 8 crosses that I see on our past picks. With that, I will leave you. Our videos go out every Tuesday, Thursday morning. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll put our next video out on Tuesday.